The distress call. Captain Lena Hawkins stared out the viewing port of the starship Horizon, watching the endless expanse of space stretch out before her. The veteran commander had seen more than her share of wonders and horrors in her years leading Horizon and its crew to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. But their current mission was strictly routine, a supply run to the outer colonies. At least it was supposed to be. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," Lieutenant Kai Alonso reported from the communications station. "It's faint, but definitely artificial in origin." Lena turned from the viewing port, her brow furrowing. "Origin point." Kai double-checked his readings. "It's coming from a system just off our current flight path. Looks like Kepler 186. Kepler 186. Lena crossed over to peer at Kai's display. "There shouldn't be anything out there. It's uncharted space." "Could be a ship in distress," offered Commander Raz Dayton, Lena's first officer. The burly man rubbed his bearded chin thoughtfully. Lena shook her head. "Not likely. Kepler 186 is a red dwarf system, and its habitable zone planet is tidally locked. The conditions are extremely harsh. No colonies or stations have ever been established there. Shouldn't we at least check it out?" Dr. Aria Sato, the ship's lead science officer, looked up from her own terminal, her dark eyes alight with curiosity. "If someone is in trouble, we have a duty to help." "Or it could be a trap," countered Nix Ramirez, the ship's security chief. The tall, muscular woman had a steely glint in her eye. "Plenty of pirates and raiders operate in this sector. Luring in good Samaritans with fake distress calls is a common tactic." "I'm aware of the risks," Lena said, her jaw setting with determination. "But I'm not willing to ignore a cry for help on the off chance it's a trap. We're not far from Kepler 186. It won't take us much off course to go check it out." She faced her crew, her expression resolute. "Here's what we're going to do. We'll approach Kepler 186 cautiously, running continuous scans. If at any point something seems off, we pull out immediately. But if there's even a chance someone needs our help, we have to try. That's not just our mission, it's our obligation as human beings." Lena looked around at her crew, seeing the determination and trust in their eyes. This was what made them more than just a crew, but a true team, a family. Each was willing to risk their own safety for the slimmest chance to help another. It was, Lena firmly believed, the very best of what made them human. "Raz, plot a course to Kepler 186, she ordered. "Nice and easy. Let's see what's out there." "Aye, Captain," the first officer nodded, tapping new coordinates into the navigation console. Arya returned to her sensors with renewed intensity, fingers flying over her controls. Beginning long-range scans of the system. If the signal has an artificial origin, should be able to localize it once we're in range. "Good. Kai, keep an ear on that signal," Lena said. "Let me know if there are any changes. Nix, ready the alert teams, just in case." As her crew hurried to carry out her orders, Lena settled into the captain's chair, watching the stars blur into streaks of light as the horizon leapt into warp. The ship hummed with power and potential, ready to face the unknown. No matter what awaited them at Kepler 186, Lena knew her ship and her crew would rise to the challenge. Solving the mystery of the strange signal, rendering aid if needed, being the light in the darkness, this was what they trained for. This was what it meant to be human. As the Kepler 186 system grew rapidly closer on the viewscreen, Lena allowed herself a small smile. Despite the potential dangers, she couldn't suppress the thrill of excitement that came with the prospect of a new discovery. The universe was vast and filled with mysteries. And Lena Hawkins intended to unravel as many as she could. First contact. As the Horizon entered orbit around Kepler 186f, Lena and her crew were shocked by what the scans revealed. The planet, which should have been an uninhabited wasteland, was dotted with the unmistakable signatures of advanced technology. But there were no signs of life. "I'm detecting a massive underground complex near the equator," Arya reported. "That's where the signal is originating from." "An underground city? On a planet like this?" Raz shook his head in disbelief. "Suit up," Lena ordered. "We're going down there." The landing party, consisting of Lena, Raz, Arya, and a security detail led by Nyx, descended to the planet's surface. They found the entrance to the underground city, a massive, heavily fortified airlock door built into the side of a mountain. Inside, they marveled at the advanced alien architecture and technology. But the city was eerily silent and empty. As they explored deeper, they discovered scenes of destruction, scorch marks from energy weapons, collapsed tunnels, shattered machinery. "Looks like a war zone," Nyx muttered, her hand never straying far from her sidearm. Suddenly, a figure stumbled out of the shadows, a tall, slender being with luminous silver skin and glowing blue eyes. It collapsed to its knees, clearly injured. Arya rushed to its side, medical scanner already in hand. "It's alive, but barely." The alien looked up at them, its eyes filled with a mix of fear and desperate hope. "Please," it rasped in perfect English. "You must help us." "Us?" Lena asked. "Who are you? What happened here?" The alien struggled to sit up, wincing in pain. "I am Zoran, of the Endari. This was our world, until the Vrox came." Zoran went on to explain that the Vrox, a ruthless species bent on conquest, had attacked Kepler 186f without warning. The Endari had fought bravely, but were outmatched. In a desperate attempt to survive, they had retreated to their underground city, activating its cloaking device to hide from the Vrox. "But our cloak is failing," Zoran said. "And the Vrox will not stop until every last one of us is dead." Lena exchanged a grim look with her crew. They had stumbled into the middle of an interstellar war, one that threatened to wipe out an entire civilization. "We have to help them," Arya said softly. Raz nodded. "Agreed. We can't just leave them to die." Lena turned to Zoran, her expression resolute. "We will do everything in our power to help you. You have my word." The alien's eyes shone with gratitude. "Thank you, Captain. With your help, perhaps my people still have a chance." But even as Lena helped Zoran to his feet, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were all in far over their heads. The Vrox sounded like a formidable enemy, and the horizon was just one ship. The invaders return. As Lena and her crew worked to stabilize Zoran and assess the situation, Arya made a chilling discovery. "Captain, I've analyzed the Endari's sensor logs. The Vrox fleet that attacked them, it's coming back. And it's headed straight for us." Lena's heart sank. They were out of time. How long until they arrive? 2 hours, at most, Arya replied grimly. Lena turned to Zoran. "Is there any way to get your city's defenses back online? Any weapons we could use against the Vrox?" The alien nodded weakly. "The central power core. If we can restart it, the city's shields and weapon systems should come back online. But the core was damaged in the attack. I don't know if it can be repaired." "We have to try," Lena said. "Arya, Raz, go with Zoran. See if you can get that power core running. The rest of us will work on evacuating any survivors and preparing for the Vrox's arrival." As her crew hurried to their tasks, Lena hailed the horizon. "Lieutenant Kai, I need you to send a distress call on all frequencies. Warn any ships in the area about the incoming Vrox fleet and request immediate assistance." "Aye, Captain," Kai responded. "But, what if no one comes? What if we're on our own?" Lena's jaw set with determination. "Then we'll do what we have to. We're not abandoning these people." Deep in the heart of the city, Arya and Raz worked frantically alongside Zoran to repair the power core. It was a massive, intricate device, far beyond anything they had seen before. I don't know if we can fix this in time, Raz grunted, sweat beading on his brow as he struggled with a tangle of wires. Zoran placed a hand on his shoulder. We must. My people are counting on us. Aria's eyes widened as her scanner beeped urgently. The Vrox, they're here. High above, the horizon shook as the first volleys from the Vrox warships slammed into its shields. On the bridge, Kai gripped his console as sparks flew around him. Shields at 60% and falling. Lena gritted her teeth. Return fire. Buy Arya and Raz as much time as you can. As the battle raged in orbit, the ground team hastily erected barricades around the entrance to the underground city. Nyx handed out weapons to the Endari survivors, her face grim. Remember, aim for the joints in their armor. That's their weak spot. Lena stood at the front, a rifle clutched in her hands. In the distance, she could see the first Vrox ground forces advancing, their hulking forms silhouetted against the harsh glare of Kepler 186f's sun. Hold the line, she commanded. We hold as long as we can. The first wave of Vrox slammed into their defenses like a tidal wave. Lena and her team fought with everything they had, energy weapons flashing in the dim light. But for every Vrox they felled, two more seemed to take its place. In the core room, Arya let out a triumphant shout. That's it. The core is stabilizing. Zoran rushed to a console, his fingers flying over the controls. Shields online. Weapon systems powering up. Raz let out a whoop of joy. We did it. But their celebration was short-lived. A massive explosion rocked the city, sending them sprawling to the floor. The Vrox. Zoran cried. They've breached the city. They're inside. Lena's voice crackled over the comms, strained and desperate. Arya, Raz, we need those weapons now. We can't hold them. Arya and Raz exchanged a look of grim determination. The fate of the Endari, and their own crew, rested on their shoulders. They had to succeed. Failure was not an option. Desperate measures. The situation was dire. The Vrox had breached the Endari city and were pouring in like an unstoppable tide. Lena and her team were being pushed back, the alien invaders advancing relentlessly despite heavy losses. Arya's voice crackled over the comms. Captain, the city's defenses are online, but they're not enough. The Vrox fleet is still hammering us from orbit. We need to take out their command ship. Lena gritted her teeth, ducking as an energy bolt sizzled over her head. She knew Arya was right. As long as the Vrox warships remained operational, they had no chance. Raz, Nyx, hold the line here, she ordered. Arya, meet me at the shuttle. We're going up there. Captain, that's suicide, Raz protested. You can't possibly. We don't have a choice, Lena cut him off. If we don't stop them now, everyone on this planet is dead. Lena and Arya raced through the embattled city, dodging Vrox patrols and collapsing tunnels. They reached the shuttle bay, leaping aboard the small craft. I hope you have a plan, Arya said as they rocketed into space, weaving through the battle raging around the planet. We need to get inside that command ship, Lena said. Disable it from within. Arya nodded grimly. A boarding action. Just the two of us against an entire Vrox crew. Lena managed a tight smile. I like our odds. They managed to latch onto the hull of the massive Vrox command ship, cutting their way inside with plasma torches. Alarms blared as they raced through the alien corridors, Vrox soldiers converging on their position. Lena and Arya fought like cornered wolves, energy weapons flashing, using the close quarters to their advantage. They reached the ship's central control room, barring the doors behind them. Arya, see if you can access their systems, Lena panted, watching the doors shudder under the onslaught of the Vrox trying to break through. Arya's fingers flew over the alien console. I'm in. I have control of their weapons. Lena's eyes widened. Can you target the other Vrock's ships? Arya nodded, a fierce grin spreading across her face. Already on it. The Vrock's command ship shuddered as its own weapons opened fire, raking across the hulls of its unsuspecting fleet mates. Explosions bloomed in the void as Vrock's warships crumbled under the unexpected assault. On the planet below, Raz and Nyx watched in astonishment as the Vrock's ground forces suddenly halted, disarray spreading through their ranks as their fleet was decimated above. The captain did it, Raz breathed. She actually did it. But the victory was short-lived. The Vrock's command ship groaned, alarms shrieking as catastrophic damage spread through its systems. We need to go, now. Lena shouted, helping Arya from the console. They raced back to their shuttle, the ship coming apart around them. They barely made it aboard before the command ship exploded, the shockwave hurling their tiny craft tumbling through space. On the planet, the remaining Vrock's forces were in full retreat. Cheers rang out from the Endari defenders as the last alien ships fled into warp, disappearing into the void. Lena and Arya's shuttle limped back to the horizon, scarred and battered but intact. As they stumbled onto the bridge, the crew erupted into applause. You did it, Captain. Kai exclaimed. The Vrocks are retreating across the system. We've won. But Lena held up a hand, her expression somber. We won a battle, not the war. The Vrocks will be back, and in greater numbers. The Endari are still in grave danger. She turned to the view screen, looking down at the scarred planet below. They had fought hard and sacrificed much, but she knew their work was far from over. The Endari needed them. And Lena Hawkins never abandoned those in need. A new alliance. In the aftermath of the battle, Lena and her crew worked tirelessly alongside the Endari to rebuild and fortify the underground city. They knew the Vrocks would return, and they had to be ready. Zoran, now the leader of his people, approached Lena as she oversaw the installation of new defense turrets. Captain Hawkins, my people owe you and your crew a debt we can never repay. You saved us from certain extinction. Lena shook her head. We did what was right. No one should face such a threat alone. She looked out over the bustling city, Endari and humans working side by side. But the fight isn't over. The Vrocks will come back, and not just for Kepler 186f. They're a threat to everyone. Zoran nodded solemnly. Which is why we must stand together. The Endari offer our knowledge, our technology, to help fight this menace. An alliance, between our peoples. Lena clasped Zoran's hand, a smile spreading across her face. An alliance. Together, we'll face whatever comes. In the following weeks, the bond between humans and Endari grew. Arya worked with Endari scientists, marveling at their advanced understanding of the universe. Raz and Nyx trained alongside Endari warriors, developing new tactics and strategies. And above it all, the horizon stood watch, a shining beacon of hope and protection. The day came when Lena knew they had to depart. Other worlds needed their help, other fights awaited them. But as she stood before the gathered Endari, she knew this was not goodbye. Today, we embark on a new chapter, she declared. Humans and Endari, standing as one against the darkness. Our alliance will be a light for all the galaxy to see. Zoran stepped forward. And when the Vrocks return, we will be ready. We will fight, not just for ourselves, but for all those who cannot fight for themselves. As the horizon lifted off, the Endari cheered, their voices rising to the stars. Lena watched from the bridge as Kepler 186f receded, feeling a swell of pride and purpose. They had come to this world by chance, drawn by a mysterious signal. But they left as part of something greater, a force for good in a universe that desperately needed it. Lena turned to her crew, seeing the same determination and hope shining in their eyes. Set a course for the nearest colony world. Our work continues. As the horizon leapt into warp, racing towards new adventures and challenges, Lena knew one thing for certain. Whatever they faced, they would face it together. Humans and Endari, side by side. For in unity, there was strength. And in strength, there was hope. The end.